The China doll stereotype. This stereotype emphasizes a specific physical appearance: small and fragile physique, pale skin, long dark hair, and often a childlike demeanor. This image ignores the diversity of appearances within the East Asian populations. The China doll is portrayed as quiet, obedient, eager to please, reinforcing the idea that East Asian women are inherently passive and lack independent thought. This is often linked to historical misconceptions of Confucian values and partial structures. The stereotype often presents East Asian women as alluringly enigmatic and other, further objectifying them and perpetuating the idea that they are inherently different from Western women. This exoticism can be fetishized and contribute to harmful stereotypes about their sexuality. While seemingly contradictory to the submissive aspect, the China doll stereotype can also be hypersexualized, portraying East Asian women as sexually available and compliant. This can lead to harmful fetishization and exploitation. The stereotype denies East Asian women their agency, their individuality, portraying them as passive recipients of male attention and action, rather than individuals with their own desires, ambitions, and complexities.
And we've seen the consequences of sexualization of Asian women about 3 years ago in Atlanta, where a man named Robert Aaron Long committed multiple homicides in 3 different massage parlors. And now, although he frequented them, he said that he had a porn addiction and that he needed to eliminate his addiction. Therefore, he went to those massage parlors and killed most of the employees there, including some of the customers there. Now, out of the 8 victims, 6 of them were Asian women. It takes us back to how they are seen as sexual beings, because even though these women were just doing their jobs, they weren't bothering anyone or doing anything abnormally sexual, they were still seen as an addiction that Long felt that he had to eliminate.
One person I want to talk about that went through these kinds of stereotypes is Anna May Wong. Appearing in over 60 movies throughout her career, Anna May Wong was the first Chinese American film star in Hollywood. In addition to her roles in silent film, television, and stage, Anna Wong landed a role in one of the first movies made in Technicolor. Internationally recognized, her legacy continues to influence entertainers all around the world. As Wong continued to audition for lead roles, she never got those roles. She was always casted as a supporting character or as a typical Asian character. She once went on an interview saying, "I was so tired of the parts I had to play. Why is it that the screen Chinese is nearly always the villain of the piece? A so cruel villain, murderous, treacherous, a snake in the grass. We are not like that." Later on, she auditioned for a lead part of Olan, but she was offered the role of a lotus, the concubine, which then she turned down. She expressed her frustration: "You asking me with Chinese blood to do the only unsympathetic role in the picture, featuring all American cast portraying Chinese characters." She goes, "Some of these stereotypes have come from movies which Anna May Wong has played in her early careers. She was the lotus blossom in The Toll of the Seas, the Mongol slave in The Thief of Baghdad, the princess butterfly in Pavement Butterfly, a high-class prostitute in Shanghai Express, and the daughter of Fu Manchu in The Daughter of the Dragon, which she was wearing a full-body dragon on her dress." Annie Anling Chen says, we cannot talk about the yellow female flesh without also engaging a history of material aesthetics productions. The yellow woman's history is entwined with the production of fates of silk, ceramics, and celluloid, machinery, and other forms of animated objects, which it goes back to her saying, the yellow woman is a kind of object person or a subject who lives as an object, which they're never seen as an equal to or a human being. They're just seen as objects. Later on, Wong leaves Hollywood due to the constant discrimination against her and her roles. She got fed up with it and she moved to Europe to continue her career, which she goes on to making numerous of different things.
The Dragon Lady stereotype typically refers to a portrayal of Asian women as seductive, manipulative, and often dangerous. This stereotype often emphasizes traits like cunning, aggression, and a strong, domineering personality. Historically, it has roots in Western media and literature, where Asian women were depicted as exotic and mysterious figures, often in contrast to the more submissive Madame Butterfly stereotype. The Dragon Lady is often shown using her sexuality and intelligence to control or harm others. That is her power. This stereotype can be very harmful as it reduces complex individuals to simplistic and often negative traits, perpetuating cultural misunderstandings and biases. The Page Act of 1875 contributed to this perspective of Asian women in America.
Another stereotype for female Asian Americans is the mono-minority stereotype. The mono-minority stereotypes Asians as hard workers who quietly achieve high results. Now, this stereotype is also known as the lotus flower or the geisha stereotype. This defines Asian females as feminine and passive. This means they aren't really looked at as leadership positions, as they aren't really looked at as assertive people. They're really just looked at as hard workers who will just be followers, not leaders. When trying to go up higher in the workplace, people don't look at someone that they can command, or they don't see them as people that will take control of something. Another problem was their accents. During their immigrant Asian faculty, they faced a lot of challenges about their credibility, as people saw them as their accent as not as smart as other people. They thought they weren't as intelligent and didn't know what they were talking about.
So I'm going to be talking about the sexualization of Asian women. It stems back to before World War II, when Asian women were not allowed to come to America, or at least Asian women from certain countries, because there was an idea that Asian women were going to come to America, seduce white men, and corrupt them into a life of sin, which is insane, right? But after World War II, when American soldiers went overseas and met women, married them, and wanted to bring them back home, then we had the War Bride Act, which allowed those American soldiers to grant their wives citizenship in America. It created the idea, or shifted the idea, that Asian American women would be demonized to they could be of service to this country as long as they were serving as a comfort for white men. Then we have in today's media the stereotype of the schoolgirl, of just Asian ignorance. In a lot of adult films, we see them speak with broken English, which creates the energy of uneducation, of submission, and of exoticness. We also have them in certain forms of media that stems back to Japan with the idea of kawaii, which is Japan's pop culture term for cuteness.